So this show's about productivity, not about drama necessarily, but there's a cost
Yeah.
to all of this drama, which is why we're talking about this. So what do you have some numbers or some metric? Like, what does this actually cost in terms of productivity?
We could spend the next hour talking about just this and about all the different numbers and all the different costs and all the different ways. And you can look at it through the lens of productivity and time and reputation and customer experience. I'm good friends with a drama researcher and speaker named Cy Wakeman, who is brilliant in this space. And she's found in her work that the average employee spends 2 hours and 20 minutes per day in drama and emotional waste. And we know that leaders tend to spend at least 5 hours a week on average managing that drama. And it wasn't that long ago that SHRM came out and had a study a few quarters back as part of their civility index, where they indicated that organizations have lost nearly $3 billion per day in reduced productivity and absenteeism caused by drama and workplace incivility. And that number just keeps going up every quarter. It goes up a couple of $100 million every quarter. We also know, and this was data that I was seeing in my most recent book, Employalty, about why people leave organizations or why they stay. And there's a ton of data that tells us that about 20% of employees, 1 out of 5, will leave a job due to what they describe as a toxic team culture. And so that becomes a turnover cost in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And so it's interesting, Brian, when we talk about this at that kind of global or national level, it almost feels to me like those numbers are too big to get our heads around, right? So ask the average manager, how much time do you spend dealing with drama each week? And they will talk about it in terms of hours. And you can do some back of the napkin math here, right? Where you figure out, okay, if I've got a manager who's spending 4 or 5 hours a week in my organization dealing with drama, and they're doing that 52 weeks a year, and I've got 40 managers in my organization, even in the smallest organizations, you can be talking about $250,000 or $500,000 a year problem.
Seriously. Yeah. A lot of and that segues right into, if you haven't already done the back of the napkin math that Joe's talking about here, I did a TED talk on the value of your time, and I have a calculator on my site. I'll include it in the episode notes here if you haven't already done this, because you're just tuning in for the first time for this episode. I have a calculator that tells you what your time is worth at work and at home, and it gives you a $1 per hour figure. And so you think about what Joe just said on how many hours do you personally spend or your team spend on this, and times that by the number that you get from my calculator, which takes 5 seconds. That's really interesting, Joe, about I didn't realize it was 5 hours a week. Like 5 hours a week is not an insignificant, like imagine if you had 5 more hours of time. Like I know what I would do with that, because I'm really busy right now. So like 5 hours would be amazing. That's an afternoon. I could have a whole afternoon. Wow. Yeah.
And that number was really only zeroed in on the managers. If that manager is standing in their office talking to the employee about the drama, we just doubled it.
Yeah, right.
Now we're taking the employee's time too.
Now the employee's time too, for sure.